How we doing, everybody, and welcome into Wisconsin Sports on the Go with Trage. I'm your host, Trage. It is Sunday night. It's a good Sunday night, not a great. It's usually great, but we had some not good stuff happen over the weekend. So not a great, but a good Sunday night here in the great state of Wisconsin. I got Aaron with me, co-host on the show here. Aaron, how you doing tonight on this Sunday?
You're a good sport trader. I will not by any means kind of twist the knife a little bit deeper after the game we'll talk about. But yeah, overall pretty good. Oh, pretty good. Definitely a chillier one out here today. I don't know, this weather you can't really guess at this point what this weather is going to do as far as the temperature. But yeah, it's a good Sunday. It's just I mean, this weekend flew by. As always, it flew by, but a lot went on, and I'm looking forward to getting into all of it there.
It was a great weekend all the way around. Can't complain too much. The atmosphere, I went down to the game. Voice is gone. I mean, I was yelling too much. The voice is gone here on Sunday. But I mean, it was a great atmosphere. I love the experience there. But we're gonna get into that game today. That was rough. That was rough. And it there's two tales you can tell on that game. And one of them is the outcome, and the other one is the way that it was trending before we got to the outcome. So I want to get into that game today. We got World Series to talk about. NFL Packers got the win, but it was a nail biter. I want to get into that one, the NFL slate. Let's get into it all today here on the show. So, Aaron, Yankees down 2 games already in the series, 2 games to none. Freddie Freeman, the hero in game one. Game two, Dodgers win 4-2. I mean, just the Dodgers taking care of their own business. Now they go to Yankee Stadium for 3 straight games. How are you feeling right now? How are you feeling about this series?
Yeah, kind of surprising, right? I thought they would split in LA. I mean, when you have Garrett Cole on the mound, you kind of just expect them to get that game, and just how that the late innings played out. I mean, I think you can blame Boone, you can blame just decision making, but Nestor there haven't pitched in like 30 or some days. That was questionable. That had me scratching my head, but I mean, I'm here for the Yankees downfall, so like it was a great way to see it. I mean, the whole Kirk Gibson, Freddie Freeman comparison, like just unreal. Like, not to say I'm going to get on some Dodgers bandwagon, but that you can't almost not like that unless you're a Yankees fan. Like, that was just awesome. Grand slam, both to right field. Freddie's nursing the ankle. I don't know what Kirk Gibson's injury per se was, but we all know like the guy was out there on like one leg or something, and he just jacks that one, in the biggest spot. So yeah, it's been cool. I mean, last night, Yankees were knocking on the door there late, which had me a little bit, I was like, what's going to go on here? But, ultimately the Dodgers put them away. I, it's hard to imagine Yankees dropping game 3. But I was shocked that the Dodgers with Yamamoto out there were able to kind of keep that lineup in check. I mean, the whole discussion about Aaron Judge, sucking in the playoffs is real. Like you can't avoid it. You can't, even if you're the biggest Aaron Judge fan. He's 1 for 9 so far, like 6 or 7 Ks or something along those lines. But I know being 1 for 9, obviously not what you're looking for from a guy that's a superstar in the regular season. Um, but yeah, I mean, um, Dodgers look good. I mean, last night was more of a grinded out type of game, and then I mean, the game 1 was just kind of like a miraculous comeback there. So it's going to be interesting. I know Clark Schmidt is going for the Yanks, who you don't really know 100% what you're going to get there. I'm trying to see who the Dodgers are putting out there, but
Bueller, I think. I think it's gonna be Walker
okay.
Bueller.
Yeah, I mean it. Game 3, if you're in the Bronx, you have the pinstripes on. You got to find a way to win that. Like, you cannot go down 3-0. I expect the Yankees to take Game 3 just from a gut feeling perspective, because I don't think the series is like a sweep, or Yankees could even win 2 in the Bronx, and it's a whole new series. So far so good for at least my my rooting interest, but it's been pretty good. I mean, honestly, it's been dramatic, and last night could have gotten out of hand if the Dodgers didn't slam the door there.
And the MLB is happy. The series is averaging 14.5 million viewers per game. I'm guessing per game there. The best since 2017. So MLB's rejoicing. The money's coming in. They're having a good day. You said it point blank there. The only guy you mentioned, Aaron Judge. Where is he? What happens to him when the postseason starts up? Where does this guy go? Right. And that's the biggest question for the Yankees right now. If you're going to come back in this series, if you're going to win this series, you can't do it without Aaron Judge. He got you to this point. He was a big reason why you are here. So what do you need? Aaron Judge to take that step in the postseason and become that guy. Become that guy for you. It's going to be hingent on what happens with Shohei Ohtani, too. I mean, he's got that shoulder issue now, sliding into second base. How does that hinder him? Does that cause any problems for him moving forward? We're going to see that in game 3. If he plays, if he doesn't play, what kind of capacity he's at? Does it limit his swing? I don't know. I mean, that's a big storyline to watch there for the Dodgers because, yes, he's only a bat, but he's a big bat in that lineup. So it's going to be something, a dangerous bat, too, and a guy that makes you respect the rest of that lineup just a little bit more, too. Freddie Freeman, it couldn't have happened to a better guy. To hit a walk-off grand slam could not have happened to a better guy. You love that. Love every second of that for Freddie Freeman. So good stuff there. I mean, we both picked the Dodgers to win the series. We both thought it was going to be a little bit more, back and forth. Maybe game 1 and 2 was back and forth. It's been that, but 2 straight wins by the Dodgers. So can't wait to see what the rest of this series kind of entails for us. Will we get to game 6? Will we see a game 7? I don't know. I mean, right now, the Dodgers have all the momentum going to Yankee Stadium. Short porch, Shohei Ohtani, Freddie Freeman. They might just go yard. They might just have a heyday. I don't know. I don't know, Aaron.
I definitely hear what you're saying. Like I'm always, it's not even like optimistic about I always do fear the Yankees because like when they get hot, I mean they've played, pretty well. Like Verdugo made that play down the line. Like they haven't played. It's not like they're becoming unglued. I mean I think I don't know that we don't have to go all night on obviously the World Series, but there's so many things, we can kind of dive into. What did you think about, I think Cole was at 84 or 86 pitches. I mean, when he is on fire, like that guy is probably the best pitcher in baseball, like for my money. And it's just like, if you're a Yankees fan, you got to be kicking yourself almost, just like thinking, why are these pitchers getting taken out? I mean, Jeter and A-Rod and Big Poppy on the post game were talking about how I think it was Al Leiter, like in the 90s or something. He had 150 something pitches in the one World Series game. And I know we're far removed from those days, but like the guy was just sauteing the Dodgers. Like the Dodgers had no chance when he was out there. And then the bullpen comes in, it struggles at first, but then obviously Nestor comes in and just blows it. The game is then over at that point. So did you think, like, I mean, I am at least running the guy up to 100 pitches in a playoff game. Like, I get being precautionary, but like I think sometimes these organizations, I'm not even going to say the managers, because I think organizations make more decisions sometimes than the manager itself because they're kind of a puppet. But I think they almost are afraid of like injury more than they are. You got to win the game first. Like, okay, if he gets injured, it's one of those things like, he can get injured on the 4th pitch or he can get injured on the 115th pitch. Like, I get not, putting him out there for 135 pitches, but at some point, like, okay, he's at 84 pitches. He's looking as dominant as he has all night. They're at the bottom of the lineup when it happens, and then he gets pulled. Like that's a head scratcher to me.
You look at it a couple different ways. Will they need Garrett Cole soon, right? And that's if the Dodgers win game 3. Now your backs are against the wall for game 4. Then you're like, okay, do we rush Garrett Cole back quick, right? He only threw 88 pitches. Does he have enough? If I would have ran him up to 110, now you're a little bit more precautionary with running him out there in game 4. Do you trust somebody else in that rotation to be able to get the job done? In hindsight, you want to let it ride, but at the same time, the Yankees bullpen hasn't done bad enough where you're like, oh, I don't think I can trust them to finish this game out. I think it's questionable, like you said, bringing Nestor Cortez in. I haven't seen enough good out of him to think that he was going to get me out of a big spot. Jake Cousins, he came from Milwaukee. He struggled in Milwaukee. There's a reason why he's no longer in Milwaukee. I always wanted to have him back because I liked him at first. Now he's with the Yankees. I mean, in a big spot like that, he gives up 2 earned runs in that appearance there, 1 hit. Not terrible, but in its own right, that's late game. You can't have a guy like that giving up runs late game. So, it's baffling to see what happened to Clay Holmes too, because Holmes is kind of they don't trust him very much anymore. It's like he
Yeah.
runs into a little bit of trouble, gone. Like you're out of the game. I'm not going to deal with this right now. So it's definitely, man, this is that's a tough question. It's so hard. It's like my Brewers, right? We talked about the Freddie Peralta, Devin Williams situation. Would you have ran Freddie back out there for the ninth, right? It's one of those things. If Nestor gets out of that inning without giving up the home run to Freddie, or if he gets out of there without giving up the grand slam, we're not talking about Nestor Cortez right now. We're saying what a great move by Aaron Boone. What a great move. It's just those things, right? It's baseball, it's analytics at this point, and Boone made a move and it came back to bite. It came back to bite in the end. I mean, Freeman swung first pitch, right? He swung first pitch and he put her out. Ballsy on his side, smart on his side. Don't get deep in the count, just let her rip. And that's what he did. Good swing on the baseball, put her over the right porch. It was so quick. I mean, so quick for Freddie Freeman. He's a guy who can work counts too. So you don't always expect a guy like that to swing first pitch. And I think that's kind of what Nestor probably had in the back of his head too, was that this is a guy in Freddie Freeman who he probably wants to work the count here. He's just looking to put the ball in play. And when in all reality, he was trying to put it in the parking lot. So I mean, one of those games for the Yankees there. They lose game 2. Now your backs are against the wall in game 3. You got to win it. It's going to be on Aaron Judge and the boys to get it going. That's plain and simple. You cannot rely on a Stantonian home run. You can't rely on, Jazz Chisholm to be coming up with big hits, though you do need postseason heroes. You need your big bats to be the guys, and that's going to start with Aaron Judge to start to produce in the postseason. I mean, we haven't seen it yet. We haven't seen it, and we got to see it here, because if he can't get it going, I really would be scared as a Yankee fan right now, because that's your big bat, right? Soto and Judge. They got you to this point when everybody else was inconsistent. Those were your guys. Now it's like Soto's there. Where's Judge? He ain't around. So, I mean, this is
It's
going to be a interesting game 3.
it's crazy because I mean I'm gonna make like some weird comparison here, but it's almost like Stanton's kind of like Eli Manning. Like no one expects him to do anything, this, that, and the third. But the playoffs come, and like he is a tough out. And like if
Yep.
he puts the ball in play, it goes 500 feet. Like it's just it makes no sense. Like where Aaron Judge is almost like Lamar Jackson. Like you got everything that you want in the regular season. Like whatever you want, you can get in the regular season. And then the playoffs come, and it's like he's not the same guy. Like it's literally like two different players. And like I'm not gonna say Lamar has been trash in the playoff, but it's like you expect Lamar to kind of ascend. You know what I mean? And you expect Judge to ascend. Like the
Yep.
best players in the best moments, and like they both have kind of done this now. Like, and I'm not like, who knows, Lamar might completely change the narrative and Aaron Judge might, but like, it's weird. Like Stanton, the Yankees without Stanton in the playoffs are like basically almost not like, yes, this year was Soto obviously, but the last couple of years, like they probably don't make it to the ALCS a year or two ago without Stanton. Like that guy is as bad as like he can't run, he can't leg out a double, even if it goes to the wall and no one's around. But like he cracks that thing. He just doesn't. The moment never seems too big for Stanton, and like the moment seems massive for Judge. I know Judge probably handles his body language better than almost anybody in baseball, but you got to think he's pressing at this point. Like there's no way he's not pressing at this point.
Yeah, big time, and that's where you do want to see some of these other guys try to take that pressure off of them by producing, which they are, but you got to have him come around at some point here. So we're gonna see game 3 just around the corner here. We'll see what happens there. Yankees Dodgers should be a good one. We're thinking Yankees will probably get a win and get this thing to game 4 and see what happens there. So let's just get to the bad. Let's just get to the bad of the weekend. We might as well just get there and get it over with, right? I mean, it was a great, going down there, went down with the wife, my sister, my cousin. We went down to the game there, and the atmosphere was fantastic. I posted a bunch of videos, everything like that on Facebook, Twitter, everywhere you can find it there. So we got them out there so you guys can see them there. But the band's out on the street playing in front of a bunch of houses. Like the atmosphere was primed up. It was ready to go. It was exciting. You were like, the buildup was there. You get into that game. And I mean, this game, the way it started, Badgers kick the field goal, go up 3-0. Then Penn State gets the ball. They come down. Badgers force it on 4th down. They get off the field. Stop them right there. And you were like, okay, momentum, right? Momentum. We got to do something with the ball now. Okay, well, they end up punting. Then Penn State goes down, scores a touchdown themselves. But then we're in this punting battle, right? Then we're back and forth. And then the Badgers go up. They go up 10-7 going to the end of the half, right? Getting to the end of the half. And the Badgers got the ball back to the end of the first half there. 38 seconds left on the clock. 3 timeouts. Badgers had all 3 timeouts in their pocket. And I was sitting there and, my wife's telling me, she's like, you think they're going to do it? You think they're going to try to do something here? And I was like, I would try and, try to throw it around a little bit here. They took it to the half. And I was like, okay, I get it. I said, you have the lead. Braden Locke is turnover prone. You're just like, let's take this baby take it to the half, right? Well, then you come out in the second half. Penn State gets the ball, you force them to punt. You get a couple other punts there, and it's like, okay, this game is trending towards Wisconsin. Like, this is the game we wanted. We wanted this punt battle. We wanted this defensive battle where Penn State can't move the football. Drew Aller goes out with injury. There is no momentum on the Penn State sideline. Like, you're looking down there. I was on the Penn State side of the field, and you're looking down on that sideline. There is no hype. There is nothing. They look dead. They look like they don't know what to do right now. And then Braden Locke does his thing. And I kid you not, that I was sitting next to a Penn State guy, and he's up in the crowd with us there. And there was that pick 6 for a touchdown. And he gets all excited. He's like, that's great defense. That's great. I said, that's not great defense. I said, that's far from great defense. I said, that guy started there. That linebacker, I can't remember who even had the interception there. I could probably find it.
Jaden Reed. Yeah.
He had that interception. He didn't move. He didn't move from that spot. Braden Locke threw the ball into his chest. Like, that ball was nowhere. It should not have been thrown, right? Braden Locke, after the game, comes out and he says, oh, I saw him. I saw him there. Why did you throw the football if you saw him there? If you knew he didn't move. That route was never open. I would have rather had you spike the ball into the ground, go 3 and out, and punt the ball back to Penn State, because your defense was rolling at that point. But the biggest problem is that the Badgers, Wisconsin's defense would force like a 3 and out, or they get off the field, right? They get off the field. And then all of a sudden the offense would go out there. And this is where it irritated the crap out of me. Conservative football. The Badgers played this conservative football coming out of that into that second half. They're like, oh, run, try to pass, 4th down, punt it back to them. Okay, we get the ball back. Run, try to pass. Well, that was the pick 6, but that was our drives, right? That was our drives. That's all we were doing. Penn State secondary, and Aaron, I tell you this now. That front 4 for Penn State, I could see all of them on an NFL roster at some point. Those front 4 are dogs. Like, that is a dangerous front 4 that Penn State's rolling out there. That secondary, though, Wisconsin, if they had any brains at quarterback and a more creative offensive coordinator, they could have torched that secondary until the cows came home. Like that, I mean, they had that big play to CJ Williams down the sideline. Penn State's trying to go man-to-man with Vinny Anthony. They're trying to go man-to-man with Will Pauling. They're trying to go man-to-man with CJ Williams. There was so many man-to-man shots, and yet we kept trying to go back to this run game, and the run game was never going to be there. It wasn't there. I don't know if Joe Brunner it seemed like he was hurt, because Joe Brunner usually doesn't get owned on the offensive line. He's not a guy who usually gets owned, and he was getting owned that whole game. So I don't know. He seemed like he was off, so maybe he was hurt. But either way, Penn State's got a great front 4. You weren't running through that. But how could you get around that? Open up the field. Start throwing the ball around. Because when they orchestrated that drive down the field there, that 10-play, 73-yard drive, passing. That's what it was. It was drop back, cross the middle, boom. Drop back, down the sideline, boom. It was there all day long. And yet you kept trying to go back to this run. And it's so vanilla, Wisconsin's offense. It's so vanilla. If Tyree Walker starts on the right side of Braden Locke, he's running to the left. If he starts on the left side, he's running to the right. Penn State's front four, they're good. Like, don't get me wrong, they're good. But they could have stood there and said, if he hands the ball off, it's coming this way. And what is the point of an option offense if your quarterback isn't trusted to run the ball? Because Wisconsin runs this option where Braden Locke's supposed to read the key, right? Nobody respects that. Not a single person. Because how many times could he have kept the ball when Tyree Walker was already getting hit in the backfield by Abdul or by another DN coming around the corner there? Just, I don't even understand the offense for the Badgers right now in this game because it was so vanilla. So, you watch Penn State come out at you and they're running all these crazy options, right? That backup quarterback, I'm not going to take anything away from him because he got thrown in a tough spot and he found a way to make it happen for Penn State. But I don't know what happened to the Badgers secondary because it was like Oprah Winfrey out there giving away free cars. Like there was so much, I don't know if you saw it too, but there was so much blown coverage. So much blown coverage. It was like 3rd and maybe 5 or something like that. And all of a sudden here comes, it wasn't Warren's because the Badgers, I thought, actually did a fairly decent job on Warren's on that game. He only had 46 yards on the game on 7 receptions. They did a pretty good job on Warren's in that entire game there. But, I mean, there was, I can't remember if it was Henry Wallace, but all of a sudden he'd be running across the field wide open. And then the next play, you'd have Clifford running across the field wide open. And it's like everybody's wide open. Where's the coverage, right? We talked about it all week. We're like, the secondary's so good. They were good in spurts. They did good on Warren's. Where were they in these broken plays where all of a sudden Penn State's completing it downfield? And then you got the option play with, Allen in there, a Singleton. And then you had Pruba. How do you say his name?
Bo Prabula.
There you go, Bo.
Yeah, it's weird. I just call him Bo. Yeah, it's a tough one. That's for sure.
Bo's quick, right? Bo's quick. I mean, he's got some great moves. Bo's quick, and he can get out of the backfield. He can do things for you. He's great in the option game, right? But in that situation, your secondary, you had to stick with guys because you have a backup quarterback in there trying to orchestrate game-winning drives for the number 3 team in the country right now against an unranked Badger team in a hostile environment where the crowd was loud. You have to put him in pressured situations. You have a backup quarterback coming in, and we blitzed like twice. And you have a backup quarterback in there. I would have even taken my shot with Aller in there because I came out of that game, and if Aller starts next week against Ohio State, Aller did not impress me. I don't know if he impresses you. He did not impress me against Wisconsin's defense. He had a good throw to the end zone there for that touchdown. But, I mean, Wooler, if he turns his stinking head around, the ball went right over top of his head. But, I mean, Aller did not impress me. That was the Badgers. We talked about it, Aaron. I told you all week long. I said the only way Wisconsin was going to lose a game like this was if they shot themselves in the foot. They had to shoot themselves in the foot to lose this game like they did in this one. And there was one call. I'm not going to blame the refs, but there was one call that absolutely irritated me. If you go to my Twitter page, I shared it on there. It was that kick return by Vinny Anthony where he took it all the way back to Penn State's 20-yard line. And they called it all the way back for holding on Tucker Ashcraft. If you watch that play, Tucker Ashcraft never touched him with his hands. He blew the guy up with his shoulder. He was never holding the guy. He blew him up coming down. There was holding on the play. If they called it on somebody else there, understandable. If they called it on somebody else and they said the wrong number, understandable. But Tucker Ashcraft got called for that holding. And if that was the actual call they made, that was total BS. That was the most BS thing I've seen because that was a big moment right there too. Badgers would have had it down at the 20-yard line, at least would have came away with a field goal by any means. But we talked about that too. Red zone offense. How many times did the Badgers get in the red zone and it was like they couldn't do it? They couldn't find a way into the end zone there. They couldn't. Man, I mean, I'm going to get more into it here in a minute after I find a couple more things I want to talk about. But Aaron, I mean, coming out of this game here, I mean, would you say Penn State is a good team? Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying Penn State isn't a good team by any means in what I was saying there. What I'm saying is that there are holes in Penn State's team that the Badgers could have exploited, but they didn't in this game. And I thought it should have been a heck of a lot closer than what this fight. I think this game was a heck of a lot closer than what the final score reads, because that was, Badgers trying to go all out, balls to the walls, bailing, that kind of crap near the end of the game there. But I mean, in your opinion, coming off this game, how do you feel about Penn State moving forward there? And what did you learn, I guess, out of this game?
They're not like and they really haven't been all year the prettiest team. Like if you turn on, Oregon, right? It's like whole like just people running crazy wide open. Like it's a track team of receivers. A quarterback can throw all over the yard. Like Penn State doesn't really, play like that. I was really impressed with the running game. To be honest with you, I think the fact that I just don't think Nick Singleton is healthy because he doesn't have that burst, and he's kind of done this before where he'll be great through 4 or 5 games, and then like I don't know if it's injury, I don't know if it's there's something that just kind of like he didn't have that burst. So I mean, Katron Allen averaging, which like the things that I was worried about in this game didn't like the Wisconsin's running game. I was worried about going in. No, this is going to be this. That's what's going to gash us. That really, I mean, really, they didn't do. Wisconsin on the running game didn't do much. I mean, Tyree Walker averaged under 3 yards a carry. Like I'll take that any day of the week. And like you said, Penn State's front was. I was surprised at the push that Penn State's front was getting because at times I know you complimented them well, but at times they disappear too. So. It really just, it's a matchup standpoint. It's, they got the upper hand in that matchup. Now, where it was kind of interesting, like you said, I mean, I think if Braden Locke is a better decision maker, like you said, I think this is a closer game for sure. At times, the secondary, it's just like the D line. At times, the secondary is very good, but at times they are Swiss cheese, like you saw. So, I mean, give Wisconsin some credit on that, but I still think you need to be better if you want to play with the likes of Ohio State and things like that. But I mean, no team is perfect. Truth be told, when I saw Aller going towards the sideline, and then throw his helmet down, like not coming back in, I mean, my heart was in my chest, or my heart was in my stomach, not my chest. It was out of my chest into my stomach at that point because I'm like, here we go, Iowa 2021 all over again. Like Jarrett and I were just hitting on that, on the show that we did, one of the pregame shows we did last week. It's just like I give Bo credit. Like, I mean, he came in and it was like, I mean, it couldn't be shakier. I mean, I think he fumbled the first snap. I'm like,
Yep.
here we go. Like, just give Wisconsin the game. At that point, like, as much as, you can say, Wisconsin lost this game. Like, there were points where I was like, Penn State's handing it to Wisconsin on a golden platter. And it scared me. I was like, we should not lose this game. The way that the way that this could go. If they go out there and beat you, that's one thing. But I mean, Penn State saw it through. Like I said, the running game was the most efficient. I thought Allard played pretty well overall. I mean, there were some key drops that Penn State had that really screwed them in the first half too. Like Julian Fleming is I mean, that guy is Jekyll and Hyde. I swear to God, some of the time he goes out there, the guy is a stones for hands. Ball like bounces off his hands. I mean, it's like he has a trampoline in his palm of his hand. I just don't get it. He's wide open in the first half. I forget if it was first or second quarter, running down the sideline and like hits him square and doesn't bring it in. That would have been like a 30-yard game. Like just stuff like that. I mean, they used Warren on some on some pitches, which helped. But yeah, I mean, overall, I mean, I know it's like from the Wisconsin point of view, it's tough to see that because like I know what it's like to be in a game where like you feel like you have the chance to win, and especially when Drew came out, say what you want about how he, sometimes, is he elite? I don't know, but like, he's definitely an upgrade from Pabula. Pabula plays a way of like he's Baker Mayfield, like just running around like crazy, it's like reckless watching him play. But he led Penn State to the win. But it was like in the third quarter, I was like, I felt like Wisconsin was going to win. And in the first half, I mean, I know Penn State made mistakes, but I thought the opportunities were there. They just didn't cash them in. And I thought, given the second half, like really the Wisconsin secondary didn't really scare me all that much. Like after seeing what I saw, in the first half. Even I was like, that secondary is beatable. It's not as it's not like, oh my god, we have no chance. So a lot of things that don't make sense about it. Like I didn't think Penn State's ability to stop Wisconsin on the run we would see that, but we saw that. Now I just think Locke is I don't know that was the killer. Like if I'm sitting there as a Wisconsin fan, I'd be mad at the play calling. I'd also be almost equally as mad at Locke though, because you
Yep.
can't have that interception there. Like if you throw one and it's a good play by a defender, sure, but he gave Penn State that one, and then I don't know, just he was missing guys kind of all night, in my opinion, and I just was like, man, if you want to beat a team, like that, you got to be better than that, especially when your running game is just getting nothing going. So
Yep. No, and that's what I was gonna, late in that one, I saw the throw that kind of told me everything about Locke is they had and the game was out of reach at this point. The game was out of reach, don't get me wrong. But it was that final drive. The Badgers were going down, it was like hitting small pass after small pass after small pass. And then he had that throw into the end zone where he had Trek Kukawana coming across wide open. There was a defender over the top, right? But Trek was wide open coming across. He cleared everybody. He cleared everybody out the back of the end zone. And I was looking at it. I was like, well, I guess that was a good decision, just to throw it away, just to throw it out of reach of anybody. But then I looked at it up on the big board again, and I was like, wait, Trek was wide open. He was coming across wide open. There's nobody in the area. I'm like, I get, yes, the game was probably out of reach. You needed an onside kick. You needed the stars to align and everything to work perfect in that situation. I'm not saying that it would have changed, right? But what I'm saying is like that throw was like, are you serious? Are you serious right now? Like, this is what we're dealing with. That interception, I mean, if he throws an interception where it's one of them tough ones where a ball gets tipped or, he's gunning down the sideline or something like that, and it's just, underthrown by a little bit or a defender makes a good play, like that happens. That happens. I get those. But this was point blank. This had to have been, I kid you not, the worst interception I've ever seen. Like, I have seen a lot of interceptions, and I guarantee you have too. But if you rewatch that play, he didn't move. That linebacker never moved. He stayed stagnant. He was just waiting. And all of a sudden, here's the ball. House it. Like nobody in front of me. Like that was got to be the worst decision I have ever seen. So I get making bad decisions, bad reads. That was atrocious. That was
I
an atrocious read. Like that was bad.
Yeah, and sorry, I don't mean to cut you off. I think that was like from a momentum standpoint, that was massive. Like
Yep.
I was totally like just I mean, I was like having I shouldn't let it get to this point, but it was like I was almost like the nights like I'm so miserable right now because
Yep.
Drew goes. It was just like, yep, of course, here we go again. Like Drew goes out. Like we're here's a game where I feel like we should win. I mean, it's not like I'm not saying it's a gimme. I'm like, but it's like on paper we should probably win this game. And like, boom, here goes our starting quarterback. And then like I said, Bo comes in, does not like it looks everything's discombobulated.
Yep.
Like you as you can. Most backups come in and it's just like, okay, here, like it's a mess. Like that's why you're holding the clipboard, dude. Like that. I'm sorry, no disrespect to Bo, but it's like come on, man. I get it's on the road and stuff like that, but obviously he got it together when he needed to. But yeah, that without that interception, like
I
I
don't
don't
know if
know
it
if I'm sitting
changes.
on a win.
Yeah, I don't know if both he looked like what we saw before that interception with Penn State versus what we saw after that interception with Penn State and Bo especially, two different things. He looked so discombobulated. He looked like he was out of sorts when
You're
before
in
that
headlights. Yeah,
interception.
yeah,
He
yeah.
was trying to rush things. They were trying to go too fast. They were like, "We need to make up these points." And then all of a sudden, pick six. And it's like, boom, done. Like the momentum was gone. The air in the building was nothing. The crowd was still into it a little bit, but I mean, it was just like that. It was like lights out. The offense came. This game, like I even told you, I was like, this game is setting up in Wisconsin's favor. Like this is if Wisconsin's gonna win this football game, it's gonna be like 16-10. Like that's just the way that Wisconsin's gonna win this game. They don't have the offensive firepower to win it that big, right? And it just gets to the point where I guess for me as a Badger fan, is you've been in a lot of these games now. You've been in games. Last year, they were in that game with Ohio State. And then you look at, even games against Oregon or games against Penn State in the past, or, some of these other big teams that we've played. Alabama, right? We played with them for a little bit in that first half, and USC. it gets to the point where it's like, okay, you've faced a lot of good teams, you've been in a lot of games. When are you going to get over it? When are you going to win that game? Because right now, Luke Fickle hasn't, and I'm not, don't get me wrong, I'm not blaming, like, I'm not trying to say, fire Luke Fickle or, anything like that. But what I'm saying is when are you going to get over that hump? Because right now there's a hump. Once we get over that hump, I feel like it might be smooth sailing again. Like it might settle down in Madison. But right now you have this inability to find a way to win these kind of games where a mistake like this can't happen. If it was a mistake where, like I said, you throw a pick down the sideline or it's a fumble or, something uncontrollable happens, okay. But this was the most controllable interception that's ever been. Like, this was point blank. You threw it to the defender, and all he had to do was run 10 yards to put it in the house. And that was momentum gone, everything gone. You had everything. You had the momentum. You were feeling yourself. I don't know what they told the defense to start this game, but their piss was hot when they came out of the locker room. Like, they were feeling it in the first half. And then all of a sudden the defense went away and they were out of sorts. And it was like, I don't know. It's like you lost it. I don't know what that interception right there. That was the momentum swing. That was the game. That was the change that Penn State needed in this one to just flip script. Because up until that point, and I mean, we're talking, that was at what? I was just trying to look that up. That was at 123 to go in that 6:23 to go in that third quarter. That's when that interception happened in the extra point there. That's when that all happened there. So you had all the momentum swinging to you until almost the end of the third quarter. And then it was just gone. Gone just like that. Just
And
a gut-wrenching performance. Just a gut-wrenching performance in a game that just felt like it was there and it was for the taking, and then you just fell apart when it mattered most.
yeah, no, exactly. And like, because I've been on, not, I'm not trying to make, I'm a powerhouse, Penn State's like, I'm not, I've been on so many on the other side of these, like in so many, like year after year, like I could be on the other side of this next weweek. Like, you know what I mean?
Yep.
I'm already like, I'm glad
That's what I told the Penn State fans when we were leaving. I said, your big brother's waiting for you. Don't worry.
No, I was gonna say, well, we're Wisconsin's big brother. I mean, right now, right, but no, it's
No,
tough.
Ohio State's our daddy.
Well, yeah, which I
They
mean,
own us every time.
Ohio State's the Big Ten daddy. Like
Yeah, they
no
are.
one else really matters. Like at the end of the day, no one else is sniffing. Like at the end, it's tough. But like, I mean, I mean, like you said, the thing that was like that momentum's huge, like obviously in any sport, but like college football especially because you get the crowd into it. I mean, these are kids, right? So like emotions are like, these aren't 35-year-old guy, Kirk Cousins had been there, done that. Oh, I've seen every
Yep.
type of like, people get rattled, like just shit goes haywire after a while. You know what I mean? So,
Yep.
and then like Penn State losing, Dennis Sutton, and the offensive lineman there, Anthony Dokai. I don't even know that name too well, but offensive lineman. But it just felt like one of those games where like everything was going wrong for Penn State. Like in the first half, I just look at it, felt like they had a million opportunities to score. Like like I
Oh,
was
yeah.
surprised at the passing game in the first. Like I thought they would struggle more, but then you look up at the scoreboard and it's like you didn't do anything with it. So that's almost worse. Like that's how you
Yep.
lose games. Like sometimes you get a bunch of opportunities and you don't do anything with it. Like we see teams in baseball leave 15 guys on base. Like you had opportunities. So yeah, I mean, it was I definitely understand why, because in the third quarter I really, and I'm definitely a glass half empty fan when things go bad, and I was like, yep, like this is just nothing is on it, like nothing's going right. And then
Yep.
when Bo comes in and looks as sloppy as he did, that was like, to me, I'm like, you like, our defense is gonna have to like win this game. That's where I was at, because like with the offense with Bo, I was like, we are just, is this an inept offense right now? And like you said, I don't really understand. Like I said, in the first half, I thought, Penn State kind of exploited the secondary of Wisconsin pretty well, which like to me was surprising. But, there's probably the second to like late in the third quarter, Wisconsin had a stranglehold on Oh my God, James! I'll never. I don't care if they win. If they win more than one national championship, I'll rock it because I still don't think it'll be James Franklin's. Yeah, if they win one somehow, it still won't be his. To his credit, I'll put it that way. It's the offensive coordinator over him, if anybody. But no, I just thought I thought Wisconsin had a window like between the second and third quarter. Like if I'm Wisconsin, like I am, like you said, go for the knockout shots. Like that's because I mean, eventually Penn State's defense does get home usually, and they did. And I was shocked that Wisconsin couldn't run the ball. I really was. That was like to me a pleasant surprise. Obviously, not to the Wisconsin fans, but I just it was mind-boggling. Like so many things were mind-boggling, and then the fact that like Wisconsin's defense just kind of like checked. It felt like they checked out at one point. Like
Yep.
it just in the fourth quarter, and I mean, really, even when like jump around came on, that was still a game. I can't remember. I think Penn State was up one or something. It was like
Yeah. Yep.
17-16 or something like that. Some weird like it was just weird for a while there, and yeah, that game was all about momentum because for a while it felt like a dogfight, and especially like I said, when Bo came in, I'm like, I mean, right now, right now, you're asking me who's going to win when Bo looked as sloppy as he did initially. I'm like, yeah, this is Wisconsin's game to lose, and I just gotta. I mean, a lot of Penn State teams would have lost this game. Like a
Yep.
couple of years ago, this team would have absolutely crumbled. They found a way this time. I don't know. I even though they're number 3 in the nation, like I trust me, I'm not gonna be out here banging my like we'll run over it. Like this team has. I mean, it's sometimes a miracle they win, and this was somewhat of that. It's just this is a mature group. I think they don't get rattled other than like Bo but I mean, what do you expect? But if he would have lost this game, I would have ripped him. I'm sorry, but like, dude, you're the second string at a big college. Like, find a way. That's my take on that type of thing.
No, and I mean, there's a couple different drives throughout this game. You look at the Badgers' first drive, field goal, right? And then Penn State tries to come down. Badgers get off the field on fourth down. They
That
get
was
them on
huge.
downs.
Yeah,
And then the Badgers got the ball back. They got a first down. And then Dupree went for a yard. And then Braden Locke hit Trek coming across the middle there. He gained 23 yards out to Wisconsin's 47-yard line. They were driving again, right? This is after they just kicked the field goal, got off the field on fourth down. This is after that. They're almost out to the 50 already. Holding gets called back. And then the Badgers get set back. They can't get the first down there. They end up punting away. What does Penn State do with the next possession? Touchdown. It was right there. It was, you had that moment early in that one where it's those mistakes that can't happen throughout a game, right? Those little things. And it's the technique. It's those little things throughout a game. Sometimes holding happens, right? I swear to you, I can't remember what his name is off of Penn State. That number, I think his number is like 77 on that offensive line for Penn State. You watch that son of a gun, he holds on every play, but they don't call it. That's fine. Like, I get over it. Like, I didn't want penalties to be a huge part of this game by any means. It just seems like Wisconsin had moments for big plays, like that play right there, where it was a big play to set up something, a good drive already, and holding. That big return by Vinny Anthony, holding. Just those moments in games like this where you need them, right? As an underdog, you need that moment. And holding negated it. It brought it back. Just those little things throughout a game. They suck. I know they suck. And if that call was on Tucker Ashcraft, I hope that referee gets fired. I really do, because that was a crappy call. But I mean, it's just those little things in upsets that you need to happen. And they did happen, but they got called back. And it just sucks. It sucks. So we're going to get off Wisconsin, Penn State. We're going to talk more about this Badger team come Tuesday on the show here. We want to talk about more about the Badgers, a little bit more about Penn State coming into that matchup, because they got a big date with Ohio State coming up next. The Badgers have a huge date with Iowa coming up next because, well, Badger fans want to see something against Iowa now after this game against Penn State. So 2 big matchups coming up this next weekend. The Badgers will be in primetime again. They're going to be on NBC at 6:30 in Iowa City. So can't wait for that one. Should be a good matchup, I hope, right? So we're going to get more into that on Tuesday here. But Aaron, before we get to the Packers and Jaguars matchup from this weekend, what is our fact of the day?
Oh, I'm glad I didn't know if we were going to get into there until maybe the end. So I'm glad you and this isn't me being a homer of Philadelphia, right? But I mean, it's a good fact, I think. I mean, William Penn founded Philadelphia, Pennsylvania on this date. So I mean, that's pretty big. That's pretty monumental. in 1682. So I mean, quite a few years back. But yeah, Philadelphia was founded. There's some other ones in there. I mean, Taylor Swift dropped an album. Who really cares about that, right? I mean, that might be a controversial thing to say, but that's what I'm going to say there. So yeah, there was yeah. I mean, that's your fact of the day.
Interesting fact of the day there, I guess. For anybody who
American
cares
history.
out there. For anybody who cares out there. I don't
Oh,
know who cares
American, take sports out of it, right? Like if Milwaukee was founded today, you know what I mean? I mean, I whatever, right? Like, yeah, this country's old, right? Like
This is true.
that's what I kind of took from that more so than anything.
This is true. Kyle, we didn't ignore you over there. He says, "What's up, guys?" We didn't ignore you there. He says, also Kyle says, it's been that long since the Sixers won a title, too. Look at
Yeah,
him. His Boston Celtics win a title last season, and all of a sudden, here he comes. He's all high and mighty again. Them
it's
guys.
been that long since like Embiid was actually healthy, probably.
This
So.
this is true. This is true. It's been a while. It's been a while. It's been a while since we've seen Embiid actually playing a basketball game. So
that's the way she goes with that.
you got it sometimes. When was the last time the Sixers won a title?
82. I want to say 80s. I'm not the basketball connoisseur, but
It's been a couple days. I know that. It's been a couple days. Anybody in the comments know the last time the Sixers won a title?
83. Man, I was close.
Right on the edge. Right on the edge there. It's been a couple days.
Only got 3. I mean, it's not terrible, I guess. But when you're the Celtics, everybody's terrible. But
well, yeah. Let's see here. So let's get into this Packers Jaguars win. Packers pull it off late. Like this was another McManus has got to come in there and shut it down again. Like we got to love that. But I guess we'll start out with the biggest thing coming out of this game. Jordan Love's hurt again. Jordan Love groin injury in this game. Matt LaFleur did not make it sound very promising. He said that it's a concerning situation, which highly concerning, which Matt LaFleur usually doesn't tell us when it comes to Jordan Love or anybody's injury, because he likes to keep you on edge. He likes to keep you on edge, not tell you really what's going on there. So, I mean, Aaron, Jordan Love gets hurt in this game. What does that do? Like, okay, the Packers, this is the way I put it. I was on Snap Counts earlier there on Integrity Sports Network talking with Kyle there. He's in the comments, and we were talking about it. And I said, the NFC North I put onto tiers right now. I have the Lions up top. Like, I think the Lions are the best team in the NFC. Like, that is in my opinion, they're the best team in the NFC. Below them, I have the Packers and Vikings right there together. Because as much as I don't trust Sam Darnold, they have a fantastic coaching staff, a pretty good defense right now, weapons around them. I think the Vikings are still right there with the Packers. Until the Packers beat them, right? The Vikings already beat them. I can't put them ahead of them. So I got those two neck and neck right there. And then I have the Bears, right? They had the most bad luck tonight when Jaden Daniels just walked them off there at the end with that tip pass. So, I mean, looking at this injury to Jordan Love now, you have Malik Willis. Does this, I mean, we don't know the extent of the injury yet. We don't know the extent of the injury by any means yet. I'm trying to, I don't know. Did anybody tweet anything out there about Jordan Love? Have you seen anything?
I haven't. Let's see if we can pull something right now, but
undergo test Monday. So there is optimism he avoided a long-term injury today. That's what they say. So there's optimism that he is going to let's see what Kyle had to say there. You think the fact that Willis won a couple of games earlier, LaFleur feels more comfortable sitting Love for a week? I guess we can answer that question for Kyle there. I think so. I really do. I think that, okay, so they have the Lions up next. We have the Lions in game of the week next week there. But then after that, you have a bye week. So you don't want to rush Jordan Love back when he could have 2 weeks off before you would actually play a second game after this one. I mean, for me, if Jordan Love, if the severity of it is, okay, he can play, right? Let's just say, hypothetically, they say he's 75% ready to go. You can use him if you want. And if I'm Matt LaFleur, I'm sitting there and saying to myself, okay, I have the Lions, but then I have a bye week, and then I have a tough stretch of games. I think I start Malik Willis. I think I start Malik Willis against the Lions, and I kind of just accept what's going to happen. If we get beat, we get beat. I mean, at the end of the day, we just protect Jordan Love because we feel like our best shot to win football games down the stretch is with Jordan Love healthy in there. So I'm not risking a more severe injury by putting him back out on the field there. So I think, yes, Willis winning a couple games earlier and now orchestrating a game-winning drive for the Packers against the Jaguars today, I think that makes you feel a lot better about Malik Willis going forward there if it does come to that point. Aaron, what do you think? I mean, if Love is in that situation, if LaFleur's in that situation, are you rolling with Malik Willis in that game against the Lions, trying to give Love 2 weeks off before he's got to go back out?
I think you have to. Like, I always kind of look long term, not short term, especially like the NFL. I mean, let's God forbid, right? You lose, like, maybe it's a 2 game gap, and like that's the reason you lose the division. But you have Jordan Love in the playoffs. Like, I'll take the trade off instead of putting him out there, potentially to get hurt even worse and then be sidelined for 2 months, right? Like, if you roll the dice with Malik Willis and let Jordan Love, because I mean, not that these are, yeah, like sometimes I do get worried about a guy that's injured twice in once. Okay, now it's 2 different injuries and once you start getting like, okay, can he? Is this a thing that is this going to be a trend type of deal? Like, you never know, right?
Yeah.
Any guy can develop. Oh, not injury prone, but like, okay, he's banged up. Oh, he's banged up. He's banged. Like, you don't want to see that. So in my opinion, you heal him until he's as good to go as he can be. That's just always been my. I mean, I've seen like Carson Wentz. We talk about guys that just were never the same. Like, don't, you know what I mean? Just get him healthy. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So if you just want Malik Willis to tread water, like if he can go 500, if he can go, let's just say Jordan Love misses 2 games because of that bye week, and Malik Willis goes 1-1, you can live with that, right? Like, that's where my take is on it. I mean, you win today. That's kind of the silver lining. If you lost today and you lost Jordan Love for we don't know how long, that's really when sky is falling type of feeling kicks in. But you find a way to win today over a Jags team that pretty much needed the win to stay even remotely relevant, I should say. So, yeah, I mean, you hope, in my opinion, like you, as a Packers fan, as you guys go into this, it's weather the storm, and the bye week maybe comes at a good time. Unfortunately, I mean, you don't want to see Jordan Love injured twice already, but if he's gonna be, hopefully he can ride this out, be healthy the rest of the regular season, and be in the playoffs in some form or capacity. Division, wild card, doesn't matter. You want him down the stretch. You don't, as much as you want him now, you want him more down the stretch.
Yep. No, I 100% agree. I 100% agree. You have to weigh this situation very carefully because this is a guy who is already out for multiple games early on this season. So you don't want to make this another stretch of games later on where now you're in week 12 and you're saying to yourself, okay, well, he's hurt again, right? The groin injury came back. We don't know what's going on now. So you got to avoid making this worse at this point. If you can survive next week, maybe Malik Willis, Matt LaFleur calls a great game plan. Maybe the defense steps up and you find a way in a dogfight to win a game against the Lions. I don't know, right? You never know. NFL's weird like that. You can have games like that where all of a sudden the Browns beat the Ravens, right? I mean, sometimes those things happen. It could be one of those games for the Packers there too. So it's something we're going to monitor. I'm telling you, we're going to know by Tuesday, right? Next time we're on live here, we're going to know by Tuesday. So we're going to know the severity of the situation, what's going to happen, and then we're going to be able to kind of key in on that game against the Lions, who's starting, everything like that. Another thing that's concerning coming out of that Jaguars game was, I mean, injuries galore, right? Evan Williams has been phenomenal. A safety for the Packers there has been phenomenal back there. He's been one of the best safeties in all of football, the rookie there. And he goes out with an injury. He has a hamstring injury late in that first half, did not return to the game. Jair Alexander on that late touchdown to Evan Ingram, he goes off the field injured. I saw somebody say they thought Nixon looked like he was banged up. I don't want to see the injury report. I don't want to see the injury report next week because I think it's going to be like 3/4 of the roster is going to be on there and they're all going to be questionable to play against the Lions. So I don't know who we're trotting out against the Lions there. And I don't know if it's going to turn into the game of the week or the second team against the Lions. I don't know what's going to happen in that one yet. But injury concerns galore for the Green Bay Packers right now coming out of that game. So you got out of there with the win, but you also you paid the price. You paid the price for that one. Love goes down. We don't know about Jair again, and now you lose Evan Williams. Bullard was forced to play that safety role again. He's been playing a lot of nickel, and he got forced back into that safety role. He kind of struggled there late. This defense for Green Bay is, I can't remember. You kept telling me Jacqueline Hyde. I don't know if you're talking about Penn State or you're talking about the Eagles. It seems like both of them, right? But I mean,
Always, it
you're
is
talking
always
about
like
you're talking about Jacqueline Hyden, and this defense for Green Bay is so Jacqueline Hyde, right? One possession, we had that late possession there. Edgerrin Cooper comes around, forces the fumble on Trevor Lawrence. Devontae Wyatt goes and scoops it up there. Packers get the ball down in the red zone, able to punch it in. Like, you go from a possession like that, or a Xavier McKinney interception once again. I saw somebody on Twitter, they're like, it's a race between Jordan Love and Xavier McKinney to see who can have the most interceptions on the team. And I was like, that's cold. That's cold, man. Like, that's cold. I laugh, but that was cold there. But I mean, this defense is so Jacqueline Hyde for me. One possession, they go out there and it's like, holy crap. Like, this is a defense that you could see on a Super Bowl team, right? This could be a Super Bowl winning defense. And then the next possession, it's like, okay, they're walking down the field on us. This is not good. Like, our defense looks like it has holes in it. We can't get pass rush. We can't find a way to get to Trevor Lawrence. What is going on? Our secondary is blowing up. What is happening? I mean, does that make you nervous? I mean, you've seen a little bit of the Packers. Does that make you nervous having that kind of defense where we've talked about it before, even a bend but don't break defense? Does that make you nervous going down the stretch here in the season? Because you're going to see teams like the Lions, you're going to see teams like the 49ers or the Dolphins who have that ability to push the ball downfield. I know the 49ers are without weapons, but I'm watching them here on Sunday night, and Brock Purdy's airing it out a little bit. Like, does that make you nervous that the Packers defense can be so Jacqueline Hyde with that?
Of course, yeah. I mean, to me, the biggest like worrisome thing is always like, can the team get pass rush? And everything you tell me is like, that once again, it's one of those 1 week they can, next week they're kind of absent. And like that is the biggest, like to me, I mean, look at how good the 49ers defense is year in and year out. Like there's been times I think the 49ers secondary is like subpar. And it doesn't really matter though. Like their linebacking core is ridiculous. Their front four is one of the best in football, if not the best. Like, we're just talking kind of the last 4 to 5 years type of deal. And yeah, I'm comparing the Packers to like the golden standard of defense and the 49ers, but like that's what you aim to be like, at least from like a pass rushing standpoint. If you can stay on a line and just knock them down continuously all day, you can even have like suspect guys and defensive backs and stuff like that. Like really the only reason the Eagles have had any success lately is because the pass rush has been getting home. Like it's so that is always like a recipe for success, in my opinion. I'm trying to pull this up here now. I don't think the Jags, I've hit on it before, I don't think the Jags have had a great offensive line and see the Packers get one sack. Now I don't know like the quarterback rush numbers, quarterback hits, all that. But that
Lawrence has been sacked 15 times on the year, if that helps. He's been sacked 15 times in total. He's like 11th in quarterbacks right now.
okay. So not horrible, right? Like middle of the pack, like you know what I mean? So
Yep. Yep.
yeah, I mean if you're not playing consistently at like on either side of the ball, you get concerned. Now, can they turn it around? I think they can. I will tell you this till the cows come home. I love the fact that they brought in Salah. Like I'm telling you, I'd kiss that guy's feet to have him on the Eagles. I mean, not that I'd want to do that, but I probably would. So like I think that helps, and it might be an underrated move going forward. I just think Jekyll and Hyde always scares me. So you just got to wait and see. I mean, it's a long rate. Like by week 14, the Packers could be kicking the crap out of everybody. Tearing up 4 sacks a game. Like we don't know. It's just so far they've been inconsistent. So that's all we can kind of base it on. And like you hope for them to find some consistency, and find more of it. That's what I would say.
I agree 100%. I had the PFF grades up for the defense coming off of this game. And you look at the grades, pass rush grades there, right? You get up in the high 80s to 90s. That's a great grade. You get down below that, that's rough. Your top rusher in this game was Edgerrin Cooper, 89 rating right there. That's impressive for Edgerrin Cooper. But then the drop off. Carl Brooks, defensive lineman, 67. Preston Smith, 64. Colby Wooden, 63. Devontae Wyatt, 62. Rashawn Gary, the big money man you paid all this money to, 58 in pass rush. You look at hurries on the game, but the Packers had 5 hurries. They forced 5 hurries on the game there. They had 3 hits on the game. I mean, 1 sack, like you said there. Just not impressive in the pass rush department. We talked about that, I believe it was last week. We said this team is so weird because they have a lot of takeaways with limited amount of pressure on a quarterback. It was such an odd stat to look at. And like you said, you got to be able to generate some kind of pressure. And when I'm saying that my defensive line is putting up grades like that for pass rush, it's not impressive. You're not getting any kind of movement there on the front. Now, Halfley has done a lot. I mean, he hasn't progressed a lot throughout the season, and now he's throwing a lot of different schemes, looks, everything you want to say. He's pulling like a Brian Flores kind of look at teams now, where he's bringing 8 guys up to the line, and then all of a sudden you're only bringing 4. And then those other 4 guys are going to drop back, or all of a sudden he's bringing 5, those kind of switch ups. So he is doing very good and confusing guys, but now it's about getting home. Now it's about making Trevor Lawrence uncomfortable, making him have to make off target throws, which, I mean, they didn't really do in this game, which does concern you moving forward because, like you said, you got to be able to put pressure on quarterbacks because these ill-advised interceptions, they will happen against not so good teams. But once you start facing the likes of, I don't know, in the playoffs, if you see a guy like Brock Purdy, usually he's not going to make ill-advised throws, or some of these, I don't know about Sam Darnold. I'll tell you that one when we see him again. But Jared Goff, right? Jared Goff is a pretty conservative quarterback. Matt Stafford isn't a guy who's going to throw picks very often. And if he does, you did a heck of a job picking them off there. I mean, there's those quarterbacks out there where you got to worry about, you're not going to force them into those situations by not putting pressure in their face. And if you give them too much time, that's dangerous waters. It's just so Jekyll and Hyde because you look at that game against the Texans, right? And CJ Stroud was running for his life. And then all of a sudden you look at this game against Trevor Lawrence and you have 1 sack and you have 5 hurries on the game. It's just such a flip the script week to week, even drive to drive, half to half, quarter to quarter. It's such a Jekyll and Hyde defense right now for the Packers that it makes you nervous. It definitely makes you nervous. I mean, Josh Jacobs has another fantastic day. Like, he's a workhorse. We know that. He's a workhorse. The most impressive thing about Josh Jacobs is even when you think you have him tackled, he's still got another 3 yards in him. Like, he's going to fall forward for another 3 yards. You got to love that Josh Jacobs there. The wide receiver room does their job. They kind of took a hit when Malik Willis came into the game, but I was impressed by Malik Willis. He comes in, not expecting to play that day, comes in, late game. He's got to lead this game-winning drive for Green Bay. First play, run. Second play, hits Jaden Reed down that left sideline for 51 yards. Sets the Packers up in deep territory there. You love that. You love that out of Malik Willis. Great play calling by Matt LaFleur late in this game. I know a lot of people questioned his play calling early in this game, but great play calling late in this game by Matt LaFleur. And the Packers get it done. I mean, you get it done on the road in Jacksonville. You haven't won there in a while, so that was a great win. Now, I mean, now you prepare, right? You got the Lions coming up next. I'm interested to see that matchup, but it takes a lot of the air out of it if Jordan Love isn't available. Like, you're not seeing the Packers at full force then. If Jair is out too, because you have a lot of weapons on that team in the Lions. If you have no Jair Alexander, if you have no Evan Williams, I'm not getting the full effect of what that game should be or what we're thinking it's going to be. So it's just, I mean, you take wins how you can get them, right? You take wins how you can get them. And this was one of those wins where you kind of take it. You take it and you kind of move on there. So we're going to get more. I want to get more into the Packers on Tuesday. I want to get more into this matchup, kind of deep dive into the stats and see what we saw, what we liked, what we're liking out of this Packers team heading into that matchup with the Lions. We want to talk more about the NFL come Tuesday there because we'll have the Monday night game to talk about there. We'll have the Sunday night game to talk about there because that's going to be a big controversy because if the Cowboys lose or the 49ers lose, they could be out of the playoff picture. So we want to get into that on Tuesday, talk about the standings, see where all these teams are sitting there and get into that. So, Aaron, anything else we got sporting news wise for the night here? Anything else we got to talk about?
Shoot, there was one I can't remember now. Of course, I can't remember.
Your
now.
Eagles got to win. Your Eagles got to win over the Bengals.
Kind of, yeah. The margin was really surprised. I mean, I was worried it was going to be like a shootout type of deal with Burrow like throwing for 5,000 yards. But that really didn't. I mean, defensively, I was kind of like you say, Jekyll and Hyde. I mean, this defense, I don't trust this defense. But they showed up today, which, like I said, it was quite surprising. And Burrow was kind of like missing, like he was throwing behind guys. Like it was kind of a weird game from that perspective. Let me see. I'm pulling up something real quick. I knew there was something else. Oh, I just got to get your take on it because I love getting your point of view. There is, I mean, I don't know if Kyle's still in the, still watching or guys eyeballs in here, but that Jets, like Patriot, like how did like the fact that the Jets, because I had them in a parlay, I was like, I never bet on the Jets, but like the Patriots are down bad. I know it's a division game, so I didn't love the pick, but I was like, you know what, Jets need a win. I mean, you talk about just. I mean, you remember how Brett Favre played with the Packers? What he was, or with the Packers, with the Jets. There, he was like 10-1 or something, and then he dropped
Yep.
like 6 of the last 7, and they end up missing the playoffs, I think.
Yep.
But this is like, are you gonna win again? Like when's the win coming? Like, and you bring in all your guys. You get the coach was the problem, right? Robert Saleh was the problem. All right, he's gone. I mean, like, is it Rodgers like regressing? Is it like you can't
Yes.
put it all on the offensive line? Like, you know what I mean? Like, Rodgers got to find a way at some point.
Kyle must have left for a second. He came back. He said, I heard the Jets and my spidey sense started tingling. He's like, I just got to get in here and talk about this. Kyle loved it. He loved every second of that. Drake May did go out with an injury. He had a concussion. He's in concussion protocol. So hopefully that all checks out because he was playing well before he went out too. So I, Robert Saleh goes, he leaves. The defense gives up 25 points to the New England Patriots. Like, you just, they intertwine, man. Robert Saleh probably had a little bit of nose in there on the defense. And I mean, Rodgers, like Kyle just said there, Rodgers stinks like 100%. Like Rodgers, this is a shell of himself. Like this is not the Rodgers that left Green Bay. Like this is a completely different Aaron Rodgers we're seeing out there with the Jets right now. Like he cannot avoid he used to be the best guy when a blitz was coming. You were screwed. Like you almost didn't want to blitz Aaron Rodgers because when he saw a blitz was coming and he saw those guys, he knew a guy was going to be open. He's like, okay, I got this quick. Like he was that guy. And then he was also the greatest escape artist, right? If you brought 4 guys, he knew where the running lane was, where he had to step up, where he had to go with. Kyle says it's playoff Rodgers. Playoff Rodgers all the time, baby. Next week, he's going to tell everybody to relax. He's going to tell everybody relax. That's going to be his presser. He's going to say, relax. We're going to run the table. That's what he's going to say.
Trajan, I might oppose you there. I feel like he's because after last week it was what we got to stop listening to you guys. Like this is headed for like he's gonna lose his like I'm not gonna say he's like trade me or something, but like the New York media, like Green Bay's pretty forgiving, right?
We
Like
were
that's what
soft
everybody
on
says.
them. We were soft. We don't push
Soft, right?
question.
Yeah,
We
like
don't push
you'll
the
forget
narrative.
you're nice to your guys. You
Yep.
support you rub you just massage your guys. New York's like, we'll run you over and then back over you and then run you over. Like Dan Campbell, ripping kneecaps off and then coming back up and ripping another one off. Like that media is gonna. I don't know, man. I don't know how he weathers this storm because at 2 and like I heard Mike Greenberg on ESPN radio talking about when they got Devontae Adams. It's like, okay, finally, like Aaron Rodgers isn't the problem, and Saleh probably was getting in the way, and now, like, what's your excuse now? Like, that's my thing is like this was supposed to be. I mean, you can make a case that they were like with Zach Wilson, the defense was better because they had Saleh. Like they're regressing with Aaron Rodgers. Like
Yep.
it's just like, how is this? It's only the Jets, right? Like it's crazy.
They were hoping to pull a Tom Brady. That's what they were doing. They were hoping to pull a Tom Brady to the Buccaneers, and it just blew up in their face. I mean, Aaron Rodgers, 17 for 28, 233, 2 touchdowns. Like, And that stat line doesn't read terrible. Like that stat line does not like you played a terrible game, right? But it's not good enough, right? The
Not good enough.
defense, I feel like the defense is regressing. I feel like all the air is out of the defense now. The whole team is just in shambles at this point. They have no leadership. They don't know what to do. You're trying to throw interim head coaches in there. You let go of Robert Saleh, who probably most guys on this defense respected, and they were like, I like this guy. Now he's gone, and you're like, okay, who got him gone? Well, it was Aaron. Okay, I don't really want to be here anymore. We don't know if Garrett Wilson wants to be there. He did have a great day, like 5 catches for 113 yards. He had a great day by all means, but I mean, it's just it's 2 sacks. You had 2 sacks on the day against a Patriots team with struggling all season long. Like that's just not acceptable, and I can't wait. We're going to talk more about this game come Tuesday because Aaron Rodgers will speak to Pat McAfee. We'll have way more to go off of there. Last thing here, Kyle says, all I need is a ticked off Yankees media taking out their frustrations on Rodgers and just watch the sparks fly. I agree with that. His biggest problem is he thinks he's smarter than everybody in the room, and he's going to make sure you know that at the end of the day. Like that is his biggest flaw, is that he just thinks he's better than everybody else. And that he is just, I don't know. To watch his career, what it was to what it is now, he's tarnishing his own career by continuing to stick this baby out. Like, if he would have retired as a Green Bay Packer, like, yes, he would have still been an a-hole. We would have seen him as that, but the world wouldn't have seen him like that. Like, he wouldn't have been underneath of these spotlights now, and it maybe would have saved him. Now it's like he's got how many picks on the year already? Like 6? Like, he's got 7 picks on the year. That's not Aaron Rodgers. Like, I can't tell you a season where Aaron Rodgers had 7 picks already at this point in the season. Just disastrous.
And I'll ask you, like, I know we got to get going here, but does Aaron Rodgers finish his career as a Jet like that? Like, does he make another stop, right? Does he retire
crazy
as a Jet?
Crazy hypothetical. The Vikings give up on Sam Darnold. They trade for Aaron Rodgers. They complete full circle what's supposed to happen in the world, and that is former Packer quarterbacks go to the Jets, then go to the Vikings. Aaron Rodgers goes to the Vikings, leads them to the NFC Championship game where they meet Jordan Love and the Packers. Packers whoop him. He goes, rides off into the sunset on his horse there, and the Packers go to the Super Bowl. That's how it ends. That's how it ends. The storybook ending we all want.
I mean, I would not put anything past like just the NFL in general. Like, if you would have told me Russ Wilson was with the Steelers, like 3-4 years ago, I'd be like, "There's no way." Like,
nope, wouldn't have believed you.
Kirk Cousins with the foul, like it's just weird. Like, just people just hop ship now, and like it's not always their doing, obviously, but yeah, like I mean, you think about the Vikings, right? If Darnold does implode, and like they're going to be like, well, McCarthy can learn from one of the learn from a guy like Roger. Like, it makes sense. Like, it literally, like, logically, it's just like, how is this? It's great. Years and years later, like a decade later from Favre doing this, like, it's not out of the realm of possibilities. It's really not.
One last thing, Kyle says sends Rodgers to the Panthers. At least he can lose and nobody would care. I agree. I agree there. Send him out to the Panthers. Another guy to sit in front of Bryce Young. That's just what we need. Another guy to sit in front of Bryce Young there. So, I mean, I truth be told, one last thing. Before the season started, I was hoping Jets-Packers Super Bowl because I wanted to see Aaron Rodgers going for his second one and Jordan Love going for his first one. That would have been like storybook. That would have been storybook ending to Rodgers' career, is the guy he trained and kind of led up to this point, trying to beat him in the Super Bowl. That would have been awesome there. So, Aaron, anything else we got to wrap us up here?
That's about it. I'm crazy I'm saying this, but go Dodgers tomorrow night.
Go Dodgers. The Yankees suck. They both suck, but we have to pick the least of the evils here. It's like Darth Vader versus Emperor Palpatine. Like, we're picking Darth Vader in this portion here. So that's what we got to do. So with that, I mean, you guys can find Aaron all over social media. Find him there, Brutally Honest Sports, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, wherever you want to find him. He's there. He's got great content there. You got to make sure you check him out there. And if you found us here at some point, whether it's on Twitter or whatever you're watching on, but you can find the show here, Wisconsin Sports on the Go Trade. You can find us on TikTok, Twitter, Twitch TV, we're on Kick TV, we're on YouTube, we're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, we're all over the place. And if you missed the show, you can find it podcast the next day, Apple, Spotify, everywhere in between. Aaron, he's also got Brutally Honest Sports there across all podcast platforms. So with that, for Aaron and myself, This has been Wisconsin Sports on the Go with Trage. Thank you guys for listening. We hope you guys enjoy the rest of your night. But until we talk to you guys again on Tuesday, see ya.